you have any observations? Because we will ask you for 5 minutes, get to know each other at the table. Then we will pose you a question. Then after 30 minutes, we will hear your presentations, your answers, your recommendations to the Commission of the European Union. And then we will vote for the best recommendations.
We have already heard very good and very inspiring presentation from Pasi Salberg, and he told us about global trends in educational reforms. And of course we have a question for our discussion related with Pasi Salberg presentation. And the question is how to promote new approaches to school governance at national and EU level.
Any comments?
Of course it's not so easy, but we have time to discuss and to find new approaches, new suggestions, new recommendations to European Council, and a little different look than we have discussion in the morning. The same question was in the morning session, and when we speak about school governance, we can speak of course about school management, we can speak about school autonomy, and you can just choose the perspective what you want to recommend and the perspective from one to want to speak around the table. Of course it could be some other words, not school governance, but school management, school autonomy.
Okay. From our previous experience, we know that a group may come up with just one recommendation, but good. And maximum, please provide 5 recommendations each table, maximum, no more. I think quality is better than quantity here. Yes, so the time is yours. Half an hour, please.
Just one question then, just to make sure I understand. So you're, the understanding of school governance, because I'm going to try and do your job, I'm sorry. The understanding of school governance could be either the governance within the school or also the system governance of schools.
It could be both.
Okay, right. I just want to make sure that that was understood. You could take either perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you know, we will present in the following way. We will use these 2 walls, this wall and the wall in front. So we'll start from one group, and a group presents some idea, a recommendation, and if other groups have something similar, we say we also have something similar, and we cluster them, these recommendations.
We're considering governance at a system level. Okay? So, societies cannot be governed only by one means, laws, and one locus, government. Okay? Governments and other authorities need to be leaders of leaders and leaders among leaders. The world outside schools has to be engaged together with authorities and schools in designing and enacting governance. So what we're trying to say is that it can't be just someone up here who says, you do that, and then leaves, okay? It's got to be really, in fact, a collective sort of engagement, okay? So mainly leaders of leaders, leaders among leaders, with the various parts of the system being engaged.
It says, listen to all stakeholders. It's like a poetry, like haiku style. Short one, but
good one.
But good one, okay.
Cooperation between central and local administration.
Strong cooperation.
Yes, lack of
learning communities. It's also it's different.
That's different.
Okay, it's different. Then it's a new one.
Okay, so you would like a new one. Okay. Professional learning communities. Is it clear? Would you like to speak more on this?
Well, the idea is like here on this sheet, leaders among leaders. This means professional learning communities at one level, but not only, also in between the levels of the system. They have to do a professional dialogue in between the system, from teachers to headmaster, from headmaster to inspector, from inspector to administration on the provincial level, on the state level, and so on. And all these levels have to communicate in a professional way on the level and in between the levels. So I think it's linked somehow to your idea.
In order to achieve a balance between management duties, leadership, it is important to share both, so that more energy for leadership can be released.
You have to share both
Yeah.
management and leadership, not just leadership, share also management.
One of our new approaches is that we would like governance at national and EU level to start using the EU Educational Policy Network. And we want them to use it as ministers, as leaders of schools, to provide the evidence base, what Pasi was talking about, to seek a positive way forward as a way of offering that sustainability and continuity, because they would hold the themes and threads. And we also felt it important for school leaders, head teachers and principals, that there was a European School Head Teachers Association, and we should promote that Europeanness in terms of a way forward and what we were doing, rather than just in isolated countries. Let's promote these children who are in our schools, who are born European. Let's provide them with a European education system. That's the party political broadcast over from this table.
To be continued.
To be continued, yes.
Yeah, we were talking about that in most countries there's a problem that when the government changes, like the governing party changes during the parliamentary election, they will restart the reforms of education, and nothing is getting done because there's no continuity. Like the party changes and then they say, oh no, we need to delete absolutely everything that we've done before and start from new. And after 4 years, the party changes again, and still nothing is getting done. So we need continuity in the governmental policies on education.
We need to do in the reform step by step and not so fast, because if this is fast, it doesn't work.
Because if we have continuity, then you don't have to hurry. You have enough time.
We always say that the education, the public education, is like a oil tanker, which is moving very slowly, and the policymakers and the politicians very often want to move all the changes, all the sector during one period of 4 years. It's impossible. Therefore, your message is very relevant, and I think our suggestion is absolutely passed to this idea. The continuity in the reform, within the country, within the school, all school, cooperation with the European policy makers, could be a good solution for the country reform.
We have a very similar idea on, it's phrased as a question, and it goes how to sell a sustainable project as a high-profile initiative. Referring to the EU ministers and minister education in our countries, they have different goals in their reforming, which are quite in a gap with reforms in education. They are very often not interested in reforms in education because they set out two long-term goals for their public image. So we would like to have more researches as initiative of the ministries, more long-term strategies on reforming education, and of course funds to support reform, because if you don't have funds, you cannot do anything. It's very close to your idea. Thank you very much.
As it is
funding is needed to promote new approaches in school governance. Adequate funding is needed to promote new approaches to school
I'm
governance.
sorry, what funding?
Funding.
So we discussed this multi-dimensional question and decided to write a book after this conference. And actually, we discussed that it's important to promote a sustainable networks of small groups of schools because we want to foster the openness of a school, and that the closeness to schools is one of the largest obstacles for innovations and sharing of best practices. So we formulated such goal, which could be also common for all Europe, because we think that there wouldn't be much arguments against it on European level. And then we formulated like some examples how it could be practically made in a country. So one way is like to foster that each individual school would join an association of like with schools which are regionally around, and to foster a policy that, let's say, in 2 years each school would depend to an association of like 5 to 10 schools, and that of course you have to implement different pluses, advantages, and so on to foster such project, but after that we think that schools could make much more affairs together in these small groups, because having a national association, it's not enough. National association is somewhere far away from a school, but if you are in association with your neighboring schools, you can make a lot of common activities together. So that is one concrete way of this policy. Another concrete way is like Malta example. Maybe someone knows that in Malta they like made a policy that each 10 of schools have a common leader, like a second principal, who has no office, no his own schools, but he goes around these schools and he fosters and works with the principals of these schools, and that makes cooperation between schools much more real and sustainable. So there can be another solutions how to foster this, how to promote sustainable networks. That's our suggestion.
There is a delegate here who is exactly that from Malta.
Oh.
She is here. She's in the other group, just off the
So
side.
she could tell more about that.
She will be delighted to see this.
Do we name her?
Okay. We should have an understanding that development in school is a normal part of professional performance, and this is an ongoing process and not one single event that stops after half a year or something like that. So we have to have the consciousness in the brains of teachers, but in our brains as well, that reform work is a permanent work of within the teaching system, and it never ends.
The other one, this recommendation also we focused on school governance, and in order to govern a school, leadership and access to relevant information need to be exercised by students, teachers, parents, and not just principals. The idea is that schools must become leaderful communities. It's one community where everybody is a leader, and I like it, encouraged to act as leader.
So we were thinking about global approach. Maybe we didn't write the third word in the name, global positive approach. In EU level, sharing successes and good practice in all EU, maybe using network and maybe other networks, doesn't matter, but just to be focused on maybe not necessarily success, but experience and lessons we learned. And in national level, it's also best practice sharing rather than problems counting, because usually political parties wins because of they are very good at counting problems which are around, and we can't stop being in the wars. But comparing with life 100 ago, all we live quite good life. It means that we can find some good examples. And we think that promote new approaches. It's one of new approaches can be for some countries and for some educational governors.
Yes.
It's cool, sad because we decide one very practical thing. We decide that new approach will be not in every one country, but in most of them, money to school level directly. That if we want a new approach to school governance, we need enough money, and school can be free from two levels, ministry and municipality. Money.
Yeah.
Okay, we can say that children are happy, teachers are not tired and retired, they have enough money to go to theater, to cinema, to buy enough money, and leaders are happy too. We know that it was level of satisfaction online, and we can measure learning outcomes.
Yeah, well,
Everybody is happy.
to be precise, you should add on the national survey, pupil, teachers, and others giving 10 out of 10 scale on the question how happy you are, something like this. So even more precise, because very often this question comes, how you are measuring this. So via surveys, I don't know, how you could also think about this.
I think there are some instruments, happiness index.
Yeah, so we can measure. I'd like to ask, on the 10 scale, how many people are happy like 10? Can you raise your hands?
About what?
Like 10? In general, happy like 10, in general. Okay. Like 9? Okay. Like 8? Like 7? Like 6? Something like this. Well, I just was showing, how to raise your hand. That's it.
Actually, the question in itself, I think, is a little bit not very logical.
Yeah.
Because it has too many separate parts, and it's not clear, because it is asked how to promote. This part is a political part. Actually, I think you wanted to ask what new approaches to school governance at national level could be proposed, yes? You are more interested in...
No, this is not us with Jolanta.
So
there is a mastermind behind this question.
because the discussion is quite different. If we discuss how to promote, it's quite a political discussion, how to promote. And if we discuss what approaches, it's educational discussion. And actually, for me personally, the phrase new approaches, it's not exactly that new is good. I actually think that a lot of old things are good. So it would be more precise, like wise approaches, how to promote wise approaches or good approaches. So the question is in itself too complicated, so the time for discussion was not enough for such a big question.
We talked also of hard and soft governance.
Okay.
We've just taken up your word because we were talking about pertinent, contextualized. Well, it's a wise balance. You need a wise balance between hard and soft governance measures. That is both within the school but also within other levels of the system, okay? And it's not just, the hard measures are rules, regulations in the school, circulars, things like that, but also a lot of the capacity stuff, okay? Soft measures, the capacity building, and also the ways to be able to build groups, do teamwork, things like that as well.
Yeah, it would be an important point, the communication between the different stakeholders, within the school and out of the school, between the local municipality, the of the country, the governments strongly support the work of the schools with computer-based education and offer a lot of devices and programs to the teachers and the principals to work on the internet and use the software. So we think that the ICT supported communications in the school and in different level, it's strongly promote the governance of the education sector. What does it mean? For example, if the school work is transparent, it's help for everybody. If you send the messages as a director to the teachers and to the students and to the parents using the internet, the web, and using email, it's very fast, and you can share the information about the school life and the school work very effectively. So the ICT devices, we believe it's strongly support the management approach of the schools.
It's a little bit about the soft and the hard governance you were talking about. We had a discussion about dictating, or no, we were talking about that you want a culture of continuous improvement, and that from a national point of view you can't dictate to schools that you have to improve, but it has to come from bottom up. And what way to reach that is that there should be enough time and space for reflection if you're doing the right thing in education, and what is needed to improve. So time and space for reflection.
All of you have 3 stickers. Please use them to vote for the best recommendations.
We will be in government. We will be in government on this one.
This one was very popular. Continuity of educational policy within the country. Well, it's easy to understand now because these politicians kind of do not help you to teach kids. Something like that.
If simple like
Yeah, so this is a simple idea, and it is linked with this European network. So we may count this as cluster with total of 51 votes, but we need to make up a nice recommendation for the Council of the European Union, and we have a professional who is kind of drafting this. Could you please give wording that fits Jolanta?
No, I thought Yolanda was coming up with it.
But it's your work, your ideas, so you have to, try to help me to make this precise.
use the EU educational policy network with purpose of continuity of education policy within and outside the countries, for instance.
I'll come to you later.
Yeah. With enough money to do it. Was I that much funded?
Okay. So we count as the most popular recommendation.
Yeah, it depends on the changes in the political structure.
Okay. Let's go to the next. And could you please introduce this? Oh, okay. This one, societies can. Okay. It has 15 and plus 3 because you said that this is. Sorry. That we may collide them, as you said. They're connected. So total is 18. And is it a good recommendation in terms of is it understandable? Like, do you feel that some maybe better wording may be used here? Or should it go like this?
Let them interpret it.
We were talking at our table about the ownership of all the novelties in governance. So there should be enough discussions and consensus should be taken, and I don't know whether it's connected with ownership, but ownership is very important.
Okay, so Jolanta.
So would you like to add some words to this so that ownership is reflected?
I don't know, there are authors of this. I just suggest maybe
It has been meant
maybe
ownership,
connected with
ownership as well, but
it's
it
different.
was not, but it was not written.
It's different.
So we may consider that this text is your recommendation. Okay. 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 And the third one, I count here 8 votes. Is like this: to promote sustainable networks of small groups of schools. 8. Or you think this one with 9 votes? But these are these are not similar. So these are different. So this one will be the third one, the most popular among the most popular recommendations. The third one. So, do you need better wording, Jolanta?
I think I got that with the Malta. So we'll include in the recommendations so that Malta gets its share.
Yeah, I will let Maria know.
Okay. So, does anyone want something to add? Do you agree that this is the number first recommendation, that one is the second, and this one is the third most popular recommendations? Okay? It's like I had no choice, you know. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you.